Later, here we go. Running with the devil. Yes, we are. Running. We'll be right back after this. Is that actual Starbucks that you're eating in there?
No.
Is it?
No.
Have you ever noticed the logo on Starbucks? I call it the porno mermaid.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, that's a two-tailed mermaid.
Starbucks is really not in the coffee business, it's in the milk business. You know that?
No, I don't. Is that what they charge for?
Yeah. Most of it's with a lot
That's
of
what
half and half. It's in the milk business. It's just like McDonald's is not in the burger business. They're in the real estate business. Because when they give you a franchise, you got to pay the rent. And with that, they buy the property and they sell the burgers. But at the end of the day, they own all the properties. It's very clever how they
the property made out of burgers.
Yeah, no, because the burgers are in prime locations. The spots are in prime locations.
Might as well be. You know what? That's a good subject to start. Twist the logo away from there. What was our original recording deal on records? Because most people don't really know what happens behind records. What's really a producer? What's really what's really a mix? What's really
I know what they called it. They called it a Motown deal.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Which was,
as you remember, I'll do it, and then you do it.
Which was an 11-point deal.
What do you mean by 11 points?
That we didn't find out until much later. That a point is 1%, not of 100%, but 1% of 90%. And the basis for that came from in the old days when 78s were delivered. Upon delivery, approximately 10% of the product broke. So they paid you on 90% of the delivery.
Oh, if you watch Boardwalk Empire right now, 1920s, those are acrylic records, really heavy breakable ones. My father gave me a collection of Al Jolson, on 78s that I actually broke. They fell from the desk, and they're priceless now. I'm killing myself, but they broke into pieces. And 1 out of 10 of those broke in 1924.
So you're not getting paid on a buck. You're getting paid on 90 cents.
Records look like CDs, but they're bigger.
So it's one penny out of 90 pennies is a point, basically. Okay? Now, we had an 11-point deal, and 3 points went to Ted, our producer.
The producer.
Okay?
Ted still makes more money than I do on those first 2 records.
He makes more than all of us.
But he's still Ted.
Now, okay, so that leaves 8. Out of the 8, we had to pay agents, attorneys.
Well, the whole thing was a loan. It was like an 18% loan.
Yeah, but I mean, the band, if I remember right, got to split, I think, 3 points by the time we were done.
I think we split $1.15 between the 4 of us.
And don't forget.
And then paid for everything.
Yeah, but don't forget the weekly check of $83.83. Remember, we used to go.
Oh, right.
That's how we nailed our first. Remember?
Oh, wait, don't say the name.
No, sorry.
We'll blank the name.
Our first beep accountant. Because Dave and I went to City National Bank in the heart of financial district. What is it?
Century City.
Century City. And we walked in the way we dress. And, of course, everyone there wears suits and ties. So immediately we walk in with a check, and then the woman looks at us and went, hold on, I better check the signature card here. Because, we're the, whatever. Because
well, remember what we looked like, too, at the time. Compared to in the times. We're still upsetting, though, most people.
Compared to the normal banking
when we meant
people.
to be upsetting. We don't mean to be upsetting now. That's maturity.
With Ted now.
Anyways.
So the woman looks at us, and she goes, oh, excuse me, I'll be right back. And, you see her huddling with some other people looking at a signature card. And finally, Dave and I went, hey, excuse me, can we see that card? And lo and behold, besides the 4 band members' names on it, there was an attorney's name, there was our manager's name, and
half a dozen other, the 3 Stooges, Darth Vader.
Now, what a bunch of idiots!
Yoda.
Because they were ripping us off at a time when we were only making $83.83 a week. They should have waited.
Oh, but here's the best part. Here's the best part. We were a combination of Mad Max, Road Warrior at the time. Remember, I was wearing the black leather chaps, and Al had the leather straps on the drums and stuff. Remember? And the only place that we could find that was at the Pleasure Chest, the sex store that was famous on Santa Monica Boulevard.
I believe it's still there,
or Hollywood Boulevard. It was one or the other.
Santa Monica down by
This is way back. Now today you get this every little kid imitating a Katy Perry in video is wearing a spiked thing. But back then the only place you could find it was in that store.
Yeah.
And we went down to buy a pair of black leather chaps and some other stuff. Everybody's where you got the spiked collar and stuff like this.
All the bondage stuff.
Yeah. And we go walking into the back, and guess who's standing there buying sex toys?
We can't mention his name either, can we?
That was the guy from the bank. and
using our money.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think? What do you think he bought with my $80? That's the first gift I'll approve of.
Have to ask his buddy.
Ooh, that's going to hurt in the morning.
And then it went from bad to worse.
Yeah, we toured for a year, and they still owed $1 million or something like that.
We owed $1 million. We went platinum. We toured for a year. We came back, and Warner Brothers. Can I mention that? Warner Brothers told us that we owed them $2 million.
And on top of that, we owed them another record.
Yeah.
And it was the end of the year. We had three weeks to deliver another record.
So I went to Ted and I said, Ted, let me get something straight here. We sold 1 million records, we toured for a year, and we owe you guys $2 million. So if we had done 10 records and sold 10 million records, we would have owed you $20 million? Right? And he kind of looks at me and goes, Why
are we doing this? And on top of that, it was a two record a year deal.
That was like Beatle time, 1960s level stuff.
So we had 3 weeks to record another record, and boom, we went straight out on tour again.
Did we do it within 3 weeks?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When did we have the second batch of material done? I remember
it was written on the road, man.
I remember we did like a 40-song demo that made it onto the internet in bits and pieces at this point. But did we write material on the road?
Yeah. Well, I always did.
And did we learn it in the studio, or did we actually practice it up before we went into
Put it this way, Van Halen.
I think we may have practiced it for about a week at your house.
Yeah. But I remember, it's like, the first record took about 7 days to do. The second record took about 3 weeks to do. Because that's all we had. We had to deliver that record before the year end. But
why did records used to take so little time back then? And now, there has never been a single wasted moment. For example, it took us about 9 months, and against a whole lot of political adversity and a lot of nonsense, admittedly, to make this record here. Mm-hmm. But we didn't waste a single second going into the studio. We didn't waste a single second during the mix. We didn't waste any time on our own. How did we get... And most of our colleagues as well, how did we go from, well, first off, you played all the first record songs in the clubs, but from the second from 3 weeks to 9 months.
But I was going to say, the second record, those songs were not, there were very few taken from the demo, from the original demo. They were all new songs.
I remember it being an extreme labor. I remember it being a lot of hard work compressed into a short period of time. I remember you weighed something like 126 pounds.
Hey, I only weigh 127 now.
I think it's kind of like the difference between a play and a movie. You know, a play has the whole story. It has everything that you need to tell a story, and it's over from the time when it starts to when it ends. But the preparation for it, or that compared to a movie, which is the same as making a record, is a lot more involved because they can. You know, we can now take 2 days to listen to the kick drum. And that's what they do. That's what happens. It's a very different rhythm, the way records are made. Depending on when you were looking at, the 80s was a specific time, the 90s was a specific time, but the band always did its best when we were just allowed to walk in and play, you know, and record the band while they're playing. So it was like a snapshot of the time.
I don't know if it's better.
Well, I didn't say it was better. I'm just saying that's the difference in the process.
Now that we have the possibility to go back and comp vocals, for example, and to listen to it sentence by sentence.
Traffic is worse. Takes longer to get here.
That is. Well, you're talking about the whole world has changed.
Yeah. Okay. That's why everything takes longer.
Okay.
But what you're saying, sentence by sentence.
That's the way most people do their vocal, and most people don't realize that you'll go in, you'll sing the same sentence 25 times, and a producer then, by and large, will go in and select words, not just the whole sentence anymore, but 3 words from this, and then 2 words from version number 7, and then the remainder from version number 14. And all of your biggest artists do this. I've done it. Does that make for the best of the best performance, or does that take away from the spontaneity? Because it was spontaneous all 14 times you sang it. I mean, it took you 20 minutes to sing it 14 times. Yes, you can be spontaneous for 20 minutes. Those of you who've been married for longer periods of time know exactly what I mean.
Al Green did mean it or not.
Al Green did word for word.
Well, that's what I mean. Spontaneous is that you mean it. It's not spontaneous.
Right, exactly.
Fabricated and you're just trying to
You got to mean
something.
it. That is all spontaneous. Yeah.
Well, after 20 minutes, I don't mean anything.
Right.
That's all relationship for me.
But it's interesting.
Sunday.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you bring up though. What has changed? Because I'm thinking, the music. We're always playing at the same time. I do very little overdubbing.
Ta-da!
So what has changed really? It's like Wolfie, Alex, and I. We play at the same time. I solo on the same track, generally.
All of my vocals,
nothing's really changed.
Everything that you actually
blame the guys behind the window.
Everything that you spend money on for my vocal is first and third version. Virtually everything I sell for a living is within the first 3 takes. I've done 27 takes, but inevitably everybody
the ones you
goes,
end up using are usually the first ones.
Before you think yourself past genius, you got a good question there. What does take? It's just more efficient technically, yo.